Right. The WrestleMania 39 special. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese. And Joe, there's a reason why we were nominated for the Best Sports Podcast Award by the Sports Pod Group. Everybody go vote for us. It's because we could do sports, we could do entertainment, we can do business. And what is the cross section between all three of those mediums, Joe? It's WWE. Welcome to WrestleMania. Joe, I know you're really excited for this weekend of events, and we brought some of our friends on with us to break down the betting lines for the weekend.
Couldn't have said it any better. Yeah, WrestleMania 39, one of my favorite weekends of the year. Gives me an excuse to either go out and do something or actually not go out at all, right? So we'll have a great time here. This for the first time, we're doing a WrestleMania roundtable edition of You Know I'm Right. So yes, we'll get into the WrestleMania preview. We'll get into the betting lines. And we got a couple of friends with us, legitimate friends, people that we love being around. They love wrestling, just like Nick and I. And we're very, very happy to have them on. Our friend Joe Foreman and our friend Nick Bivona. Guys, this is You Know I'm Right. As you know, welcome.
Yeah, Nick's wearing his shirt finally. He's finally on You Know I'm Right. He's very happy. This is going to be very confusing. We got the two Nicks up here up top, two Joes on the bottom. So everybody is going to be referred to from me by their last name, just to make it easier here. And we see, let's do a little shirt check here. We'll show off Nick Bivona's shirt first.
Yeah, I got the Rock finally come back shirt from WrestleMania 29. I was there in attendance for that show. I was hoping he was going to win that match against John Cena. That did not go that way. But I'm happy to be on the show with you guys.
Yeah, that was once in a lifetime, and this is a once in a lifetime here. We get the four of us on here. Yeah. Let's see, Joe Foreman, what do you got on?
Well, it's no surprise to anyone who knows me. I have my Bloodline gear. The only wrestling apparel I own is of the Bloodline, unless you go way back to the stuff that's in a youth extra large from about 2004. So
no, I believe you have a Brock Lesnar.
You're right. You're right.
Wow.
I do. I do. You're right. I do have the sleeveless flannel. That is correct. Good memory you have.
I know we're all looking forward to Brock Lesnar's match this weekend against Omos. Joe, let's see your shirt. Not in WWE, but what we got? Just a plain black tee?
Yep.
All right. Little Sami Zayn vibes there with the black hoodie. Yep. And I'm sporting the classic You Know I'm Right sweatshirt. So let's get right into it, guys. So full disclosure for anybody listening right now, this episode has come out on Thursday, which is 2 days before WrestleMania, a day before SmackDown, so things could potentially change, but we're going to cover every match as of now, as of our recording, what is actually happening. So we got to start first with the fact that Bray Wyatt is a waste of space and needs to be released, and this guy does nothing, and now because of him, he never wrestles. When he wrestles people, he buries them. When he doesn't, no, he's not wrestling people and they're getting buried. Bobby Lashley is getting destroyed here. He doesn't have to have a WrestleMania match. It's a real travesty. We'll start off with Joe Foreman, his thoughts on this.
Well, I completely agree with you that Bobby Lashley needs to be on the card at WrestleMania. There's no reason that he shouldn't be on the card. He's been one of the biggest draws since he became WWE champion. And even a bit before that, he was a huge draw. They really did a great job establishing him as a heel. During that time, he won over the crowd. They quickly turned him face, and that's worked. He's excelled in every role they put him in. I think there is a market for guys like Bray Wyatt and those supernatural gimmicks. I am not that market. So something like the Pitch Black match did not appeal to me. They didn't need to show me Uncle Howdy jumping off the stage and landing 10 feet to the left of LA Knight. I didn't need to see that. I get it. It's a performance. It's a show. But that kind of stuff for me doesn't do it. So for me, not having Bray Wyatt on the card, not a huge loss. Missing out on Bobby Lashley for me is a big loss.
I agree. You need the Almighty in there. Bivona, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
It sucks for Bobby because I think at this end of the day, he's going to probably win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on Friday, but you need him on the card. And Joe hit it right on, the nail on the coffin. He has been really good since he came back to the WWE. He had a great face turn. Then they turned him heel, was a great WWE champion. And for Bray Wyatt, I mean, it's really worked for him when he was during, the whole COVID era, the cinematic matches. That really works for him. During this time and stage of the era for him, it just really hasn't worked. pitch black era, that match was really bad, as Joe said, and the whole Uncle Howdy thing didn't really need to happen after that. I was kind of looking forward to maybe him facing Brock Lesnar when they originally, called him out, and then it turned into Bobby Lashley, which, at the end of the day, wasn't a fan of that, and I'm not really a fan of the Brock Lesnar match I've made it to begin with. So the whole thing with, Bray Wyatt, it really hurts Bobby Lashley at the end of the day. Maybe you line up something with Bobby with the Battle Royal. Maybe someone eliminates him, or maybe he wins and someone calls him out. That could be the case. I just don't know. But yeah, at the end of the day, Bobby Lashley's really hurting because of this.
Well, maybe Bray Wyatt shows up again, but I don't know. It's just bizarre. They don't even acknowledge the fact that he's there. We could talk about Andre the Giant, who's going to win. I think we all agree if it's going to go as Bobby's got to win. If they're not going to set up a match, it should be Bobby.
Right.
Now, Joe Calabrese offline here telling me that he thought that Bobby Lashley should have took on Damian Priest at WrestleMania. I don't need to see Damian Priest wrestle, but Joe, your thoughts on this whole situation?
Well, I wanted to see Brock and Bobby, and then for some reason they decided to do that one pay-per-view before. So I agree with Nick. I don't know why they're not doing Brock and Bobby in Mania. So stupid. I thought a good pivot would be Priest, only because it's like there's rumors that Hurt Business reuniting, Judgment Day. It's kind of a group thing, right? So if we're doing a pivot, it makes sense. But I see the rumor now is to do Bobby Lashley versus LA Knight at WrestleMania, which means that sometime in the battle.
You can't have WrestleMania in LA without LA Knight.
Sure, well, LA Knight, I agree.
Right.
So on SmackDown, they'll likely set something up in the Battle Royal, and they'll set up a quick match in WrestleMania.
That'd
But I
be
feel
fine.
like Bobby had a great year. So
Gotta do something there. So, all right. So that means LA Knight, Bobby Lashley off the table for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Who's going to win this? Do they just give a career achievement to Dolph Ziggler? You're looking at Rick Boogs. Is it going to be Elias? Johnny Gargano? What are we thinking here, guys? We'll start with Nick Bivona.
If it's not Bobby Lashley, it's going to go to a weird winner because you've seen that in the previous years. It always goes to like the weirdest people, like Madcap Moss.
Madcap Moss going back to back.
Mojo Rawley, like Baron Corbin when he was in NXT at the time. It's always the weird winner. So if it's not going to be Bobby Lashley, I could see maybe them call maybe an NXT call up.
How about Bronson Reed? He adds nothing to the show.
I could see Bronson Reed. That's not a bad
one.
I could see that. That's a very big possibility because it's really just that match is set up to make someone big going after that. Now in years past it hasn't worked, but maybe they could do it this year. I don't know.
Foreman, any interest at all in this match?
The short answer is no, but I think the important thing for me, and Nick touched on it, they need to make something of the win for whoever it is that takes the win. Make something of it. They did go somewhere with Madcap. Eventually, that was the catalyst for his separation from Corbin. But was that ever really a storyline that anyone was invested in? Not really. And they've done nothing with either of them since. And Baron Corbin, I think, deserves better than this. He disappears from time to time, then shows up to get jobbed out. They had the storyline with JBL. I was never really sure what was going on there. Doesn't seem like anything has come of that. And it looks like he's going back to the bum-ass Corbin routine again, or we could be headed in that direction. He's down on his luck, can't get on the show. So I think they should do something with him. He's good enough where he should be on the card somewhere. But whoever wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, they need to go somewhere with the win.
All right, we got to get on to the real show. So real quick, Joe Calabrese, who's winning this Battle Royal? If we're going to assume LA Knight and Bobby Lashley are fighting at WrestleMania, that means neither of them's going to win. And those are the two favorites to win the Battle Royal.
I think it's going to be LA Knight.
So LA Knight's going to win the Battle Royal, and then he's going to have a WrestleMania match. Okay.
Right.
All right, fair enough. Those are the two favorites, by the way. So let's move on to the real show now. And it's going to kick off with the champ, John Cena, or maybe the future U.S. champ, or the champ could be here, taking on Austin Theory. I thought they should have started WrestleMania with Seth Rollins, starting with his song, but he'll probably start Sunday perhaps. So we will start here by saying that Austin Theory is the heavy favorite in this one at -400. John Cena's +250. Was talking to Nick Bivona the other day. He had a very interesting idea about how this match could play out and how it could tie into the Raw after WrestleMania. So we'll start with you, Nick.
Yeah, I think Cena's actually going to win this match, and I think what it's going to do is on Monday he'll have the U.S. Open Challenge like he did when he won the title in 2015, and they'll have someone call, maybe an NXT call up, maybe like a Braun Breaker if he loses the NXT title, and they have him win it on Monday Night Raw. I could see something like that. Joe doesn't like that idea, but
Joe's got a very similar idea, but he's got a little.
You have a different person in mind.
It's going to be Theory. Theory will win. Braun Breaker will debut on Monday. Braun Breaker is going to win the U.S. title, and then they shuffle the rosters. Austin Theory is going to go to SmackDown. So the reason why, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
go ahead.
Make this last point. And when I went to Raw at the Barclays Center back at the beginning of February, the dark segment before the show started was Braun Breaker. Now, what's interesting is that Braun Breaker in NXT is starting to receive the, we kind of want a new champion. We're stale, we're tired of you. Like, he's not getting booed, but it's like, it's time to go, right? But when I went to Brooklyn, the entire crowd was very, very into him. They were doing the dog chants and stuff like that with him. Very loud reaction for somebody in the beginning of the show, and like the dark segment at the beginning of the show. So it seems like what happened there in Brooklyn, that was kind of the test, because like New York City and Chicago are always the tests, right? So if you get a reaction there, you're probably going to be good. So yeah, I think Theory's had a great reign with the U.S. title. I think he's done a really great job getting his character back, especially after losing Money in the Bank. This is a true dream match for him. Walks in United States champion against his childhood idol, John Cena, who was one of the greatest WWE United States champions of all time, one of the greatest superstars of all time. I told Nick this match was going to open the show. He thought it was going to be Seth. I'm right. But
Seth could open Sunday.
Theory is going to win. But I think there's a compelling case for John Cena. The problem is you don't know how many dates he's going to have afterwards. So he can't really be the champ if you can't really secure any of those dates. So
all right. So now to Joe Foreman here. Joe, will you get John Cena's new T-shirt, which he'll debut at WrestleMania, and who's going to win the match?
I actually wanted the shirt modeled after the Super Mario Brothers cover that I think he introduced it at SummerSlam 2 years ago now. And then I found out that was part of some NFT package. At the time, I didn't know what an NFT was. And I saw the price on it. And I said, well, is it worth more than that on eBay? Maybe I'll consider it. It's not. I didn't consider it. That was the end of that. But no, I won't be getting the new T-shirt. I didn't grow up a big Cena guy. I grew up in the Ruthless Aggression era. I was not a Cena fan. I was the only one in the arena rooting for Booker T to win at No Mercy in 2004. Definitely the only one under the age of 15 who was rooting for Booker T to win. But, I do think there's a chance Cena wins the match. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously. I think that he could take the belt with him for a little while. It just fits too well with him being Peacemaker to carry around the U.S. title for a short time. But with all the part-time championship, reigns we've had recently, especially, of course, Roman Reigns right now, basically part-time. I think if he drops the belt, there's more of a chance Cena wins. And, of course, Cody Rhodes is the favorite in that match. We'll get to that later. But I think the most likely outcome is that Theory wins. If they do go in the direction of Cena winning with an open challenge, I think that's too obvious. I think that's too obvious. In your head, you have to be thinking, if he issues an open challenge, he has to be dropping the belt.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it could go either way. I think the dogs are really alive. The dogs are barking this weekend at WrestleMania. Looking at some of these lines, I see Calabrese kind of agrees. So it really just depends on what's going on with John Cena's schedule. If he's filming something, he's going to lose. But he's coming back. Is he really going to come back just to put somebody over in a one-off that isn't Roman Reigns? I don't know. So I'm going to say John Cena wins. He drops the title on Raw the next month. Maybe tell Alberto Del Rio again. History will repeat itself.
No.
Oh, boy.
Let's move on to a match that nobody cares about. And let's go through this as quickly as possible. The showcase match between the Viking Raiders, Braun Strowman and Ricochet, who should not be a tag team, the Street Profits, and Alpha Academy. Right now, the Viking Raiders are the slight favorites at -150. I think the Street Profits are going to win because they want the smoke, and who really cares about this match? I want to see Alpha Academy turn face. Looks like Otis and Gable might break up though with the tag team male models. So they're the big underdogs in this. Plus, maybe they break up in this match. I'll say the Street Profits win. We'll go in reverse order here. We'll start with Joe Foreman.
I think if these matches will serve any purpose other than getting these superstars on the card, It's that it will further some storylines. I think we have to go somewhere with Alpha Academy, and whether it's a breakup or a face turn, I think that happens in this match. I have been hearing Street Profits breaking up forever. It doesn't look like that's happening anytime soon. They haven't even hinted at it in a long time. They did do a bit where I think it was Seth Rollins backstage saying which one of you is better than the other. I forget who it was. It was Theory. It was Theory.
Yeah.
It was Theory. And then he faced each of them in consecutive weeks and won both.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So Theory beat both of them, but they didn't really, plant the seeds for any breakup there. I agree. Strowman and Ricochet came out of nowhere, and I think it was out of necessity. They had nothing else to do. If I was putting my money on one of these teams, I would have to go Street Profits as well, because I think right now they're really trying to position Montez Ford as someone who's going to be a player in the future. That being said, we said that a year ago, and not much has changed other than he got into the chamber and Dawkins didn't.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is going to be a pre-show match. The women's showcase match will be a pre-show most likely. Even now, Ronda Rousey, we'll see. So, Joe, as we both agreed, probably one of the greatest WrestleMania moments of all time, which we never got the full reaction to, was obviously Otis and Mandy kissing. You saw Mandy recently in person, or at least you were in the vicinity of her. So how was that experience? And also, where would Otis be right now in his career if that moment happened in front of fans? Because I think he actually would have ended up cashing in Money in the Bank, being a world champ.
I go back and forth on that. To see Mandy in person, she's great. She's fit. She's a beautiful woman. We let's just say I went with one of our friends, and we'll leave it at that. In terms of the tag match, I don't really care for the Viking Raiders. I never did. So the fact that they're the favorites, which logically makes sense because of the groups, they're the most likely to stay together. They're the most likely, like, let's say if, Kevin Owens and Sammy win the match, which we'll get to later, right? They'll need challengers and credible opponents. So I get it. But my rooting interest in here is for Braun and Ricochet. I love both guys. Hopefully we'll see them actually do things with them after Mania. But yeah, what else did you ask me? Oh, about Otis. Yeah, so I mean, I go back and forth on that. I don't know if he would have ever cashed the Money in the Bank, but the truth of the matter is like with crowds, you don't know what can happen. Maybe he would have been given like a United States title run or something like that. But he was very over. It was a nice little storyline. I remember reading exit interviews when Mandy left the company a couple months ago, and she was like, that was one of my favorite things that I got to do. The crowd was into it. We loved it and they had fun with it. Right. So wrestling is weird like that, right? Like you never would have anticipated like Otis and Mandy being like a story, but I like what they're doing with Otis and like the male models, because not everything on the show needs to be serious. Like I'm okay with a couple of joke segments here and there that give me some laughs. At first, I really did not like the models. But then you insert Otis into it, and then you plan on splitting Otis and Gable and maybe giving Gable a singles run. Now it makes sense. Now I like that for both guys,
Definitely missing the comedic timing of R-Truth because recovering from an injury. If anybody here is a big Viking Raiders fan, it's probably Nick Bivona out of all of us.
Really?
I don't know if he's a fan of them, but probably more than all
No.
of us. So Nick, who's winning this match?
I'm going to pick the Viking Raiders, and it's only because I think you actually see a heel turn, and it's going to be the heel turn you don't expect. I think Braun Strowman's going to heel turn on Ricochet. I feel like they've been trying to kind of hint at that for a couple months, but they just really haven't gotten to that point. I think it'd be like one of those unexpected moments, and I think you'll see that in this match.
All right, so there you have it. Now, to the next match we have that we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about Damage, Control, Alt Delete. Let's get rid of them. Taking on Lita, Trish, and Becky. This match is kind of bizarre. Got the tag titles not on the line here. Who knows what's going on? The favorites in this match are Becky, Lita, Trish, minus 300. Damage Control plus 200. Joe, Calabrese, we'll start with you because you had an interesting idea about somebody in this match potentially turning heel. So who's winning this match?
We're gonna have a lot of heel turns at WrestleMania this year. First things first, how great does Trish Stratus look? It's excellent, right? The fact that her and Lita are now in their mid-40s, and you could see they're noticeably have slowed down a little bit, but I actually enjoy watching it. I think the whole pairing with Becky is great. Damage Control is nearing the end, right?
Hopefully.
Yes,
Hopefully. It's
hopefully,
time.
Yeah,
please.
very, very hopefully.
I love Bailey, and I would say that the match that Becky and Io had on Raw this week was pretty good. So they're kind of going out with a bang here, but it's time to break them up. I'd rather see Bailey on her own again. But yeah, so I think they'll likely win this match. It seems obvious right now that Becky and Lita are going to pull double duty because there are no planned women's matches on the second night of WrestleMania. So the idea is, I think the winner of the women's tag from the first night will face Becky and Lita for the tag titles the second night. That way it gives something for the women to do on night two. And yeah, there are rumblings that Trish Stratus may turn heel because the rumor is that it will be Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus in another one of those True Dream matches at SummerSlam. So a couple years ago, Trish faced Charlotte. That was in Toronto, in Trish's hometown, I believe. So that was a great match. Trish looked great, right? So seems like Trish wants one more run here. So I think the Legends team is going to win here, but I think it'll be fun. You know, I think a lot of people are excited to see Lita and Trish again. Becky's a big star. You know, Bailey, like I said, will split from Damage Control. So there's a lot going for this match, even if it kind of seemed like it was thrown together a little bit.
The last time Trish Stratus was in a 3-on-3 match at WrestleMania, we saw the debut of Snooki, who actually
Was not terrible.
celebrity appearances was pretty damn good. She actually,
Not the worst celebrity appearance.
not the worst. She did a backflip. All right, what do you think, Nick?
I think the Legends team, I think they'll win. And I kind of agree with Joe in the sense of I think they'll make the match the next night for the winning tag team of the showcase. And I think that's when Trish would turn heel on Becky and cost them the tag titles. So I think it would be a perfect way to set that up. And, you know, you kind of saw the hintings on Raw where Miz was asking her the question about being a lackey. She didn't answer it. Lita did. So you could sense that it's going to happen at some point. Just depends on if it's going to happen during this match or if it's going to happen potentially on night two with a tag team title match.
All right, Foreman.
You know, going back to the topic of the heel turn, I'm not sure if one thing had anything to do with the other, but when they were posing in the ring, I think it was ahead of the segment or maybe after the beatdown. I don't remember exactly the sequence of events, but Lita and Becky were posing with the belts and Trish kind of like broke through them from behind and then posed in front of them. I don't know if that was something that was written in, something she decided to do, or just a coincidence in the way they posed, but I noticed it. And I've read about the heel turn as well. I think it's inevitable, but I think Damage Control, as everyone has said, needs to break up at this point. Bailey needs to be back on her own. And that can't happen if they win this match. So I think the Legends team probably wins. If they do intend on keeping Damage Control together, I think they have to win. But I don't think that's the case. I think the Legends are winning.
Damage Control, a group that never made any sense. They had no ties to each other. And they've just been pretty bad TV. Okay, next match up, we'll discuss Brock Lesnar versus Omos. Brock Lesnar, the heavy favorite at minus 1,500. I think we all agree he's going to win. So let's discuss how long this match is going to be rather than the results. If you think Omos is going to win, let me know. I don't know. I think this might be like the Iron Man match or WrestleMania. We're looking at a 60-minute barn burner, better than MJF versus Daniel Bryan. Now, I think this is going to be probably around like a 7-minute match. What do you? Let's start with we'll start Joe Foreman on this one.
I don't think the odds reflect the chances that Brock Lesnar has to win. I think he's certainly the favorite and probably will win. But at some point, they have to put Omos over somebody.
Yes.
At some point, they have to get him a win. He can't keep getting into a match like one with Bobby lose. Well, they put him in a match like the one with Bobby at Mania last year. He's done just about nothing for a year straight. I mean, at some point, they have to.
He's had a match. He faced Braun Strowman in Saudi, right? And
right.
That is the match that they should have did at WrestleMania. That match that they did in Saudi Arabia, it should have been Braun Strowman versus Omos at WrestleMania, and it should have been Brock versus Bobby at WrestleMania. That's where they made the mistake.
I thought for sure Brock and Bobby were going to Mania after the finish of their last match. And I guess you have to think now, just going off topic for a second, that those two face off at SummerSlam. That feud's not over. No. So they need a definitive winner at some point. they can't keep stringing us along like this. If this is how it ends, that's ridiculous.
If it's
But
gonna happen, it'll happen at Crown Jewel. But I think
oh no,
there's a
please.
feud's done. Brock Lesnar, Shawn Michaels was Mr. WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar is Mr. Crown Jewel.
Yeah,
That's true.
You need to get those Saudi dollars, I guess. But this match, Brock, I think the way they've booked it leading up to the match, it's playing up as if he's going to win because the person who's gotten the best of on the last Raw before Mania typically is the winner. But Omos has to get a win eventually. I'd bet Brock, but I wouldn't be shocked if Omos won.
So what do you think, Joe? Maybe Bobby Lashley helps Omos win. You want the Hurt Business back together, and that could set up the Lesnar Lashley match down the road. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if that would happen until the Raw after WrestleMania, but again, it's you see the rumblings, right? They post stuff on social media and stuff like that, right? I remember MVP posted the picture with the Street Profits, right? I know you're not really a huge fan of him, but in NXT, Carmelo Hayes I think he's really good. He could eventually be somebody at some point that they call up and kind of incorporate into that mix with MVP. But to get back to Brock and Omos, if I had to set the over and under on the match, I like that 7-minute figure, right? So we'll go like 7 minutes and like 15 seconds. Would you go over or under?
Under.
Under.
I think they're going to try to keep this to 5 minutes. For 2 or 3 minutes, it's going to be like Brock got knocked down. Oh my God, he's going to lose. And all of a sudden, he's going to give him a couple of suplexes. He's going to power up for the F5. He's going to hit the F5 and he's going to hit the 1, 2, 3. I think it's going to be really short.
Yeah, I agree with Foreman. Omos has got to start winning some big matches here. I mean, they're not doing a good job with him. And the Brock Lesnar's got to win because he's got to look good going into his next match at Roman Reigns over the summer. All right, Nick Bivona, how's this match going to play out?
Yeah, I think Joe hit it right on the head. I think it's just going to be a couple suplexes. You think Brock's going to,
I don't know if Brock could suplex Omos. I really don't.
He'll do it like 2 or 3 times.
I think Omos can help him up and
You could hit him with a German for sure because that's mostly the guy jumping. So he could hit a German. You
guys think Lesnar's going to be able to F5?
Well, to be fair, the Braun Strowman versus Omos match in Saudi Arabia was not bad. It was actually a very
should have been the WrestleMania match.
It should have been the WrestleMania match. So Omos is not he's a big guy and he's not really a great character, but he's not quite as stiff anymore. You can see him, at least he's got a little movement to him, but the problem is he can't have a long match, right? So again, this is going to be no longer than 5 minutes.
I really wanted to see Brock Lesnar F5 Bray Wyatt into free agency. I think that would have been better. Quick, 30, 40 second. He could F5 Uncle Howdy. He could F5 Alexa Bliss. He could F5 Bray Wyatt. Just the whole family, the rabbit, and send him packing, never to be seen again. That would have been a better match.
F5 him into a new character where we can get something other than a supernatural gimmick. Give him a chance with something else.
Sounds like a good plan. All right, the next match, speaking of supernatural, the Demon, Finn Balor, taking on Edge with the dumb Dutch Judgment Day. They're horrible people. Every time they're on my screen, I just fast forward. So, what do you guys got here? Hell in a Cell. Maybe it's a good match. We'll see. I'm kind of over this Edge run at this time. It's really not been as good as we thought it was going to be with him coming back. So, Joe, I know Joe Calabrese, I know you're a huge Edge head, and you also love Finn Balor. So I'll let you talk about this one first.
For the first time, I'm going with the dog. I like Finn Balor plus 120 to win this match.
This is the closest match odds-wise.
Yeah, Edge has a really... Listen, nobody's ever going to be The Undertaker, right? That's impossible. But when you look at other superstars, some of the guys who have that, really great WrestleMania records are guys like John Cena and Edge, right? So I'm thinking this is going to be a match that I think it's going to be very good. I think we don't have a night for this yet. It could be on night 1, night 2. But yeah, if we're talking about this from a betting perspective and you're getting plus 120 on Balor, I think that's really good to get plus odds on him. Because I think a lot of the story here that started with the Judgment Day last year, how it culminates here, they have to figure out a way. I know he's the Demon is not your cup of tea, But again,
I don't
like
like
Joe
the
said at the top,
supernatural. I'm with
right.
Joe Foreman. I hate
There's
supernatural.
there's the market for that, right? And a lot of people do like the theatrics of it, the face paint, the entrance, right? It's gonna have a really big time WrestleMania entrance. So I think if they are looking at Judgment Day as main players moving forward, and I think a lot of them are going to shine on this card, then I think Finn Balor is going to win.
All right, Nick Bivona.
I think Balor is going to win too, and I think it's more the fact of they needed Edge to get a win in this rivalry, and they got that with that mixed tag team match at the previous pay-per-view. So obviously, when Balor lost with Roman Reigns, it was kind of a shocking thing because you never really see the Demon lose. I can't see him lose again this match. It's a good way to end this rivalry once and for all because let's just all face facts. It is dragged out for so long. It has
It's over
to
a year
end.
now.
Yeah, it's over a year. It has to end, and hopefully it ends after this pay per view. I like Balor at this type of stage, and it really propels him. If Cody was to win the title, it gives maybe a chance, maybe at him going after that title. So we'll have to see. But I think Balor, that's pretty good odds for him to win this match.
All right, what do you think, Joe Foreman?
I think the winner of this match has to be next in line for the championship. Unless it's Seth Rollins, I think the winner of this match is probably next in line for a title shot. And I think it's more likely that they'll have Edge written off for a while to come back and then be in the championship picture. So I agree that Finn probably wins this. And I actually disagree with you on one thing. I think the Judgment Day has gotten better. They were what I would call channel change heat when they first started. They would come on my screen. I would change the channel. They added Dominic, who I was never a fan of in the first place. But now you love to hate him. Right. And I think the faction as a whole has gotten much more intriguing over the last, let's say, 6 months or so than they were when they first started. I think getting rid of Edge actually helped them out. Made no storyline sense, but I think it ultimately helped them out as a unit, gives them individually a chance to shine a bit more. We'll see what Rhea does this weekend, but I think there's a good chance that Edge is written off TV following this match again, and that they have him come back in the championship picture. But for the here and now, I think Finn Balor is more likely to be in the championship picture in the immediate future, so he wins.
All right, Foreman, you just convinced. I was going to go with Edge, but I think he's going to be off for a while.
We got one more note about this match. The original color of the Hell in a Cell is back.
Yes, thank you.
Thank God.
That horrific red cell, it's gone. We're going with the original color again. I think that'll add a little bit to the match, to be honest.
Saying it's back to a metal color?
It's back to steel instead of that painted plastic looking garbage.
The red cell was terrible. It's one of the worst things ever outside of like the stipulation name pay-per-views. Ugh.
It almost impaled Seth Rollins too.
I'd rather this have been like a Dr. Pepper ambulance match. That'd have been a better match. But we'll see how the cell goes. Now, you guys mentioned it. So Dominic Mysterio taking out Ray. Dominic minus 150. Ray's got him putting his son over here, right? So I'm gonna say Dominic's gonna win. He's gonna hit the 619. But I think Damian Priest is gonna help him win the match. We could start with Joe Foreman on this one.
I actually read, going back to the previous match for just a moment, that Gangrel was rumored to come out with Edge and that Priest would be in the corner of Finn Balor for the Hell in a Cell. So I think that this outcome could be partially dependent on where Priest falls in all of this, but I feel like Dominic has to win. You can't have him lose in his first big match on a big stage. If you're really going to try and build him up, Ray's going to the Hall of Fame. He's accomplished just about all there is to accomplish in the business. And you said it. I think if this match is happening, he's putting his son over. I don't think there's much benefit to waiting for Dominic to get a win because I think inevitably he does get a win. So I would probably go with Dominic in this match, though I wouldn't be surprised at all if Ray won.
All right, Joe, Calabrese.
I think Ray is going to be a proud pop of this weekend either way. Can we say something about Dominic? 4 months ago, he couldn't cut a promo. He was terrible, like very bad. And now you give him a microphone. He's still not like the best, but he goes out there and he's cutting really good promos now. And the crowd like detests him. Like they loathe him. Like
that's what makes it work.
That little shit ripped up my sign.
I was about to say that. I was hoping I got to say it first.
How was that experience, Joe? And who picked up the sign for you?
Edge. How great was that, right? So when they went to commercial and the lights dimmed and they had one of the ads playing on like the big screen and the board at the Barclays, Edge came back with like my ripped sign in his hands and he was like, "Oh, here you go." Right? So like total straight face. You could see like he had like a little bit of a smirk, like he wanted to laugh about it. But yeah, so the original intent was to bring a Bailey sign to get Bailey to rip the sign because that's what she does. So it ended up being Dominic and Rhea coming by, and they passed by me once while that match was going on before they came back the second time to rip it. So he had an idea of it already. And like I tell Nick all the time, I know what I need to do to be a part of the show, not to get myself over, but to be like a part of the show for them to enjoy that. So
Foreman, who's got it better than Front Row Joe Calabrese?
The person who pays half the price for the front row ticket the day of the event. Other than that, nobody.
Let me tell you something. A couple of events recently, I've been cluing in Foreman formula over there on some events, and the deals that I've been funneling his way are pretty good. Hasn't been able to do it yet, but Joe, you and I will definitely go to an event and we'll sit somewhere behind 2 or 3 rows behind the table.
Yes.
More of this.
Maybe SmackDown. Maybe SmackDown.
Right.
A good idea. Anyway, we're gonna go with Dom to win the match.
All right, Nick Bivona, who's winning?
I agree with what Foreman said and what Calabrese also said. If Dom doesn't win this match, it's really bad. I think it will set up a trio of matches between them. So I think this match one, it will be Dom winning. It will be in some fashion where he's gonna lie, cheat, and steal his way to win this match. I think it ties in perfectly with the Eddie stuff. So I think Dom should win. Hopefully he does, because as Joe said, he's got to be the most hated guy in the company right now. Every time he cuts a promo, he's getting booed. And I was at a live event for MSG a couple weeks ago. Every time he threw a punch, it was the loudest reaction to anything. And that's even including Cody Rhodes coming out at one point in the night.
All right, there you have it. So next match, Logan Paul, who is on a 3-match losing streak. He won his first match thanks to The Miz, his tag team partner, has not won since. His WWE contract expires at the strike of midnight on Sunday. He's going to lose this match. He is the dog right now, plus 275. The favorite is Seth Rollins, minus 450, who will win. But as Mr. Calabrese knows firsthand, Front Row Joe, Logan Paul is all about the viral moments. He's going to have some sort of viral moment that'll blow up. And that's what you remember from the match. But it's going to end with a curb stomp. And Seth Rollins will win. And I would say by next WrestleMania, he's going to be in the main event picture for the title. All right, Nick, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think Seth has to win this match. I feel like the last couple of years, you've seen him put in these matches and he's lost. Guys like Cesaro, which is not a bad loss. You're trying to put him over. And then obviously Cody's comeback last year. You kind of want to maybe see, not a lot of people like Logan Paul, so maybe you would like to see him win this match if you're kind of a fan of him. Personally, for me, I'm not, so I hope Seth wins this match. But I think, yeah, Seth wins this match. He's got to be in contention for the title right after, so we'll have to see where it goes from there.
Foreman?
I really like Seth, but if there's one thing I've learned is you never bet on Seth Rollins, especially at minus 450, because Seth is the guy who puts everyone over time and time and time again. For whatever reason, they don't give him any wins. I could not put my money on him at minus 450. I really hope he wins, but in terms of value, give me Logan Paul.
All right, the modern day Chris Jericho. What do you think, Calabrese?
I think the betting value lies better with Logan Paul. It is his birthday, isn't it?
Right.
That doesn't really necessarily mean anything. But what's interesting about WrestleMania in general is that it's truly a show where when you look up and down the card, like you look at the other pay-per-views, they're more or less in context of the story. At WrestleMania, there's always like 1 or 2 finishes, like where you think somebody's going to win and then somebody else wins, right? Perfect example of this was Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair last year. Ronda comes back, she wins the Women's Royal Rumble. Everybody thinks she's going into WrestleMania and she's going to win the title and she's going to take the title from Charlotte. And that didn't happen, right? So a lot of people here think Seth is going to win. Now, I do believe Seth is going to win, but I agree with Joe. If you're actually looking at this you're looking to spread money, $10 bet, $20 bet here, and you're betting on a couple matches just to see what the hell and enjoy the show. Logan Paul plus 275 is pretty good value.
Yep. All right. Next match we'll discuss is going to be the best match of the weekend. The Ring General, Gunther defending his IC title against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Gunther's going to win this one. Another heel turn, guys. Drew McIntyre is going to turn heel.
Oh, he's heel
And that's what's going to happen. We'll start with Nick Bivona.
Oh, this is a tough match for me. Probably the toughest one I've had to think about all week. Because I could see Gunther dropping the title because you have the triple threat match, so
Yeah,
you could
they're
have
world
Drew.
champs, right?
You could have Drew or Sheamus have one of them pin each other, and then that's it. Gunther
Yeah.
loses the title without even getting involved in the decision. I could see that going away, and then you have Gunther go right after the world title because I think that's what is going to happen eventually. He's going to be in that world title picture, whether that be going into SummerSlam or maybe even next year's WrestleMania. I think at the end of the day, I think it's tough to pick against Gunther right now. I think he just has a great wave of momentum going towards him. And it would be nice to see Sheamus win the title for the first time. I just can't see it happen. I think Gunther's just really doing good work right now.
Yeah, he's on a good level right now. But your point about having him not get pinned, very valid, very true. Could play out. Foreman, what do you think?
I think the odds makers have it right. Drew has a very slim chance, if he has a chance at all in this match. I think Sheamus getting his first IC belt would be a good WrestleMania moment. I think, too, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but where Gunther's Intercontinental Championship reign stands in terms of days, I think that factors in a lot right now. I'm not sure how close he is to any significant milestones. I know he's not at a year yet. I think he's approaching 300 days, but they might keep the belt on him a bit longer. And I think if they do, they need to set something up in this match where maybe Drew McIntyre turns heel, because to have this match, just to have Gunther win again, continue on from where we've been now for quite some time with Gunther dominating that mid card, I think something else needs to come of this match more than that.
Well, let's keep in mind here that there's only one world title. They got the draft coming up in a week. So you could send Gunther with the IC title to Raw to be the main champ. We'll see. So Joe, Calabrese, is this match going to be a banger? And who's going to win?
Banger after banger after banger. Quick note, the longest Intercontinental title reign, most wrestling
Honky
fans
Tonk
know
Man.
this is Honky Tonk Man. The
Right.
exact amount of days is 454 days. So Gunther would have to retain and then hold the Intercontinental title into the summer in order to break that reign, for note. I want to see Sheamus win the IC title because I think Sheamus, like The Miz, has gotten infinitely better as his career has gone on. I think the last year and a half, 2 years of Sheamus's career doing the whole old Irish guy, I'm always gonna fight, the fight night thing, the Brawling Brutes with Rich Holland and Butch. I think they've been very entertaining. I think that's kind of been the perfect little spot for him. I appreciate him now more so than I've done in the past. And I'm rooting for him to win the Intercontinental title. But Nick, as you and I know, consistently one of the best moments of SmackDown week in and week out is when Samantha Irvin introduces Imperium and she introduces the Intercontinental Champion, Gunther. I can't
Let me hear. Let me hear it inside you. Do it like you would if you were announcing him at WrestleMania.
Oh boy, hold on.
Nick Bivona might have to do it. He's a public address announcer.
I will say this. I love how she announces Ludwig Kaiser's name. It's probably one of the best introductions she does.
She does Imperium really well, and she does Roman
Right.
Reigns really good.
The Intercontinental Champion, Gunther.
Let's give him 3 thumbs down, guys.
Making me do it, and I give
Bivona, you want to give it a shot?
I think Gunther's gonna win though.
All right, Gunther's gonna win. Let's hear Bivona introduce any wrestler you want on the roster.
Any wrestler I want on the roster. I'll do it for this instance. The Intercontinental Champion, Gunther.
Not bad. What do you want to do? You want to give one for him or a pass?
He'll pass. He's gonna
That's-
pass.
That's an easy pass.
Ready? Here's mine.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elias.
Yes.
That was
I hope he does a concert before they start the Battle Royal on
him
Friday.
and Rick Boogs. Boogs is gonna be boogsing out. I mean, it'll be all right. Now to the match, which some are saying is going to main event Saturday night, and that is going to be Charlotte taking on Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley is the second largest favorite of the whole card at -1,000. Charlotte, the champ, +500. I don't care about the odds there. Give me the underdog. I'm going to cash in. Charlotte is going to win this match. Rhea Ripley is going to be tapping out, and the Charlotte face reign will continue. And I think Charlotte is going to be up there, maybe like a top 2, top 3 best entrance of the night with John Cena. And I think it's going to be phenomenal. We'll start with we're going to go around. We'll start with Joe Calabrese first. So you got to tell me who's going to win the match and how. And also tell me who you think is going to have the best entrance of the weekend.
Interesting. I think the best entrance might end up being Logan Paul, only because he's gonna have like the theatrics behind it and everything. And his entrance last year at WrestleMania was pretty good. His costume is excellent. Usually whoever has a big entrance loses the match, right? So it's historically there's some precedent there. But to get to the SmackDown Women's title, so the original plans for this match were Ronda and Rhea, and then Charlotte came back on the last SmackDown of the year last year in Tampa and won the title, right? So that kind of threw a curveball into everything. Like I said before, I think the Judgment Day is going to have a very big weekend. I think they're all going to win. I think they're going to clean up. There's a lot of revenge
So does
factor.
that mean Damian Priest wins the Andre the Giant Battle Royal then? If he's in it.
He's in it? I don't even know if he's in
He's
it.
not in it. I don't know. I don't think he's in it, but you never know. They could just make things up as they go.
They very well could. So if he was in it, he'd be my pick to win the match.
All
But
right. So you got Rhea, you got all the Judgment Day. All right. Foreman.
Yeah, I'm leaning Rhea in this one. Charlotte's already beat her at WrestleMania. And I don't see the benefit of extending the feud any further beyond WrestleMania. I'm sure they'll have another match, but to extend the feud and then have Rhea win is what I was meaning to say. I don't see any benefit to that. If you're going to give Rhea the eventual win, give it to her on the biggest stage at WrestleMania. I think she wins, and this probably isn't a trendy pick for the biggest entrance. And I didn't know there was precedent as well with the biggest entrance typically being a loser. But I think if they're going to put Cody Rhodes over as the company's next big guy, they're going to have to give him as big an entrance as they can. He came up through the stage last year with the fog. Maybe they give him the full outfit with a skull over his face, reminiscent of something Triple H has done in the past, kind of a passing of the torch thing. But I think Cody, biggest entrance, Rhea wins this match by pin.
All right. Nick Bivona.
When we come down to entrance, you know what I would love to see, since they've been having Eddie hints for the Dominic Mysterio storyline? I would love to see Dom just come out and like a lowrider and just really tie in to that storyline. I think that would be perfect. Just
like that a lot.
The fans would be going wild for that if he would come out in a lowrider and started doing all the hydraulics with that. I think that would be perfect. Getting back to this match, if Rhea doesn't win, I'd be very, very upset, because I think what they're starting to do is they might do a kind of a double swap where Rhea might be turning face soon and Charlotte might be turning heel. I've seen little hints of it the last couple of weeks. Charlotte had that promo. It kind of seemed a little heelish in that one. I don't like her as a face personally. I don't think it really works for her character. I think she's the perfect heel. Like, everyone wants to be her and hates her because of that, and because she's Ric Flair's daughter. I think Rhea winning this match would be perfect. Gets a WrestleMania revenge from a couple of years ago and becomes the SmackDown Women's Champion.
For me, guys, I think Rhea's terrible, and I can't see her going face, but they are all heels. She's
That's
in a
fair.
group, so
I don't think she's going face.
She should just be in the group. It's weird to me that she's got a high-profile WrestleMania match, but she's tied into all these group storylines. So we'll see. Can never go wrong betting with Charlotte Flair. She's going to make it competitive. I think for next year, WrestleMania 40, Mr. Calabrese, a great entrance would be Elias. And you have everybody like at the Rocky Steps, and about like 500 people walk with Elias from the Rocky Steps all the way to Lincoln Financial Field. They all come out with Elias. And it's just, walk with Elias all the way. Wouldn't that be such great cinematic?
Yeah, an hour walk. Amazing.
Yeah, they could start walking early on, and then they eventually get there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
They'll pre-record it.
Pre-record,
Yeah.
exactly. It'd be funny. All right, now we're gonna go to the other women's match. Asuka taking on Bianca Belair. Asuka the favorite, -140. Bianca Belair +100. This is the closest match betting odds wise. And we'll start with Joe Foreman.
This one I think is the biggest coin flip on the card, but they've really given me no reason to believe that Bianca will lose except for this weird stuff that Asuka's been doing. In ring, I'm a fan of Asuka and her work in the ring. I'm not a fan of the character. I don't get it. It's not for me. I hope Bianca wins, and at plus odds, I would take Bianca to win.
All right, Nick Bivona, we know Solo Sikoa wasn't ready, but is Bianca Belair ready for Asuka?
Unfortunately, she's not going to be ready for Asuka. No one is ready for her. I think Asuka's got to win the title. I think it's kind of like the Braun Breaker NXT thing with the Bianca right now. I think she's held it for such a long time. I think you have to get a changing of the title like there, because I don't know how many more challenges they have left on Raw to really go after her at this rate. I think changing the title would be perfect in this sense, because then Asuka could fight some different people. It could set up some different matches. And then Bianca could do some other stuff, whether that be going to SmackDown. Who knows? I think Asuka should win this match, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bianca comes out on top.
All right, Joe Calabrese.
I'm still shocked Asuka's the favorite. It makes no sense to me.
She's going to win. That's why.
Yeah, Bianca getting plus odds. I'm going to take Bianca getting plus odds every time, even if it's just plus 100, right? Yeah, I like Asuka. Bianca's big fan of Bianca in my house, but the build for this hasn't really been great.
Right.
And
not at all.
Was like Asuka was Asuka even on Raw this week? I don't remember.
They weren't. Both of them weren't.
Right. So it's like
they did like the tag match thing, which
I just don't care.
Right, it's overplayed. I wanted to see a missed. I want to see Asuka like miss Bianca. You know what I mean? Like
she'll try
WrestleMania.
She's gonna try a WrestleMania. Maybe they do that and everybody thinks Bianca loses, or maybe that's how she loses. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so the build for this has been subpar. I think of all the women's matches, this has easily been like the iffiest. But at plus odds, I'm gonna take Bianca Belair to win. And again, I don't know how she's the underdog in this match, but we'll see.
All right, I'm going Asuka. All right, now the match that most people are looking forward to: Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Big slap in the face to Sami Zayn being relegated to the tag team division after being the most popular wrestler for the past year. His tag team partner Kevin Owens acknowledged that on SmackDown last week. They're taking on the Usos for the tag titles, and they are massive favorites to win. -2,000. Maybe Calabrese loves the Usos at +700. We'll start with Nick Bivona on this match.
I like the odds for the Usos in the match, being at how long they've held the titles. I think when it comes down to it, they face every tag team there is to beat in WWE right now. Someone's got to beat them at some point. I would have liked them to have split the titles up, so at least maybe they could hold on to one championship instead of the other. Being that, that both titles are on the line, it's going to be for the undisputed titles, as they term it. I'm going to have to pick Kevin and Sami to win the match. I think storyline-wise, it's just going right for them, and I think at some point the Usos have to lose. This is probably the best chance they've had to lose since they've held the titles for this long.
All right, Joe Calabrese.
I keep going back and forth on all the bloodline stuff. There's a part of me that thinks that they're all going to win. There's a part of me that thinks they're all going to lose. And there's a part of me that thinks like the Usos are going to lose and Roman's going to win. But I think KO and Sami are going to win here. They're the biggest favorites of the weekend. But I think the story makes sense because since Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have been in WWE on the main roster, they've had runs before where they had to team up, but they've never had a really true tag team reign, as best friends and, as they would say, brothers. So I think the story is here. I don't think it's necessarily a demotion for Sami, because this is being billed as the biggest tag team match of all time. There's a possibility that it could very well be the greatest just 2-on-2 story tag title match in WWE history, because the Usos are that good. So I'm going to take KO and Sami to win. I think they get a big moment. I definitely think they're going to get a little bit of a run here with the tag titles. I don't know if it's going to be like a huge run, at least I would say a couple months heading into the summer. And then from there, you reevaluate. WWE has storylines planned though, heading into the summer, into the fall, apparently. That's what I read before. So I think KO and Sammy, the big favorites, they're going to win. They're going to get a big moment together. It's going to be, I think, the true feel-good moment of the whole weekend.
Foreman, what's the formula telling you?
KO and Sammy have to win, plain and simple. That's what the formula is telling me. They need to have the moment. The storyline has to come to a conclusion here. I'm sure there'll be a rematch at Backlash. There always is, but I think the title change has to happen now, and I think it does for sure. Something else that would have intrigued me, just a small thing. I don't know where Riddle stands with WWE right now. They've been holding off on his return for a while. We've been hearing Randy could come back. I wouldn't have been opposed to double duty for the Usos, night 1 and night 2 against 2 different teams. But I think that does lessen the impact that this match would have had. So I can see why they didn't do that. But I'm not sure how you work, where they're going to work Randy back in. I think he has to factor into this bloodline storyline somehow and at some point, because they did knock him out of action. But this match standing alone, KO and Sammy have to win, and I think they will.
Yeah, they're going to win. I wonder what's going to be next after that. They need to definitely split the titles, and we will see how they do that. The draft coming up real soon. So now we have some other odds before we go on, just to discuss some of them with you. We have WrestleMania total title changes at over under 4.5. I'm going to go under on that. Will any free agent wrestler make his WWE debut at WrestleMania? That's a plus 100 for yes, minus 140 for no. I'm going to say no. And here's the big one. Will Vince McMahon appear during WrestleMania? It's a yes at plus 2,500. Joe Calabrese, I know we discussed that a bunch, you and I, but they should just start WrestleMania with Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I'm a no on that. I don't think he's going to appear.
All right.
Even
You think
though
Nick
I
Bivona,
like
anybody
him.
from, there's rumors about Jay White, anybody going to debut at WrestleMania?
I don't see it happen at WrestleMania. I'd probably for the night after, so on Monday Night Raw. I think that's where they would probably do it. I just don't see a way in which you can factor someone like a free agent, interfering in a match. I just don't know really how it would tie into storyline wise.
All right. Foreman, any thoughts on the WWE Hall of Fame class this year? You could say no and we can move on. That's totally fine as well.
Not particularly, though. I did grow up with Rey Mysterio as my favorite wrestler, so it's good to see him get in.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Hall of Fame Friday night, starting around 11 p.m. Eastern time. Should be a late night for
What?
everybody watching. Yeah, it's going to start after SmackDown, so they're going to have to
just like last year,
pull up the ring, do the red carpet show.
That's a DVR viewing.
Too bad it's not on TV. It's going to be on Peacock.
Yep.
Oh, that's an on-demand viewing.
Right, so now the last match of the evening on Sunday night, and it's the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship match, where the challenger Cody Rhodes at minus 550 is taking on the champ Roman Reigns at plus 325. Guys, I'll go first on this one here. Roman Reigns is going to retain in this match. I'd be very shocked if Cody Rhodes wins here. He's going to go as far as he can. I think Roman is most likely going to hold the championship until next WrestleMania, which is really brutal for the way things are playing out on TV here. And you mentioned him before, Foreman, but Randy Orton factors in here because Randy Orton will be challenging Roman Reigns, whether it's in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel, whether it's the main event of SummerSlam. That is going to happen without a doubt. I don't know if this is the best decision because who else is there for Roman Reigns to face over the next 12 months, or at least getting him to the summer. But I think here Roman Reigns will retain in this match. And ultimately, I think the person who beats Roman Reigns is going to be Seth Rollins. I think that's going to happen at WrestleMania 40. So another year of this. Buckle up, folks, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. We'll start with Nick Bivona.
I hate to pick against Roman, and there's a reason why. Joe Foreman talked about it earlier with Randy Orton. I would love to see, so like if Cody were to win, I think Randy Orton returning on Monday night, congratulating Cody, and then RKO's him to set up Cody's first title run would be great. Kind of like the student-teacher rivalry for the championship.
Gotta get Ted DiBiase Jr. to be the ref.
I think at some point you could see him get involved in the rivalry. I think that would be possible. But I could also see Roman winning, and then maybe The Rock returns because it's in Los Angeles, and then you set up that match for Mania next year. I don't know. It's so tough to pick this match. I think this is the biggest coin flip for me because you said it, Nick. It's so tough for Roman because if he wins, who really challenges him next, and then who can take the title off him realistically? Is it a Money in the Bank winner? They had the chance last year with Austin Theory. They didn't really work out. They obviously had him cash in the U.S. title. I would like to see Seth win it because Seth has had the most non-clean win in this whole thing. He had the DQ finish at the
He's
Royal
the only
Rumble.
person who beat Roman Reigns during the reign, even though
Right.
Roman got DQ'd. Correct.
I think at the end of the day, I'm going to lean towards Roman. I think it's tough to pick him with the odds going against him in this situation. And I would like to see a Rock and Roman match of Mania 40. I just wouldn't like to see that for the title. So I would like to see Roman win and then him face Seth at SummerSlam for the championship, and that's when Seth takes it off of him, and then you can set up something for Seth after that.
All right, Joe Foreman.
We need a proper Seth and Roman Reigns match during this title run, and you can't have that if Roman Reigns loses. But I find it hard to believe they've taken Cody all the way to this point just for him to lose. With the odds, I definitely like Roman Reigns at plus 325 for sure. There's no question about it. They did leak a title design. I really like that belt, the custom design for Cody that they leaked. I'm not sure if that's a red herring or if it's for real, but I do think there is more to do if you keep the belt on Roman Reigns. I think that most likely he will hold it to 1,000 days. So my pick is Roman Reigns, but I think Cody has to be the one to take it off him. I do. The way the storyline is played out, I think Cody is the one who has to take the belt from him. I think we may have to wait until SummerSlam to see that.
All right, Joe Calabrese.
Yeah, I'm with Foreman on this. It's so hard to like you're 50, what is it? I think as of Mania on Sunday, it would be 945 days. You're 55 days away from 1,000. That's a really nice even number. And the reign warrants it. It warrants the history and everything. Everything they've done with the bloodline has been absolutely tremendous. Reigns has been one of the best champions of the last 8 to 10 years, for sure. I love Cody, and I agree with Foreman here too. Cody should be the guy, right? So the Orton factor here is very interesting because there are a lot of rumors that he's going to be back at WrestleMania. A lot of rumors he's going to be back the night after WrestleMania, right? So it seems like when we're talking about this, Orton is going to be one of the next people involved, right? Whether he's fighting Cody, whether he's fighting Roman Reigns. So I think the plan, likely, now that we know that Reigns is going to be involved in events like the premium, like pay-per-view events, I think Backlash and the Saudi Arabia event, and then not entirely sure about Money in the Bank yet, and then we would have SummerSlam. So I think the plan at this point is to get Reigns to 1,000 days, have the ceremony, the history, make the shirts, everything for the 1,000 days. And then I think it's SummerSlam, you're going to have a situation where it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. However we get there, possibly with the King of the Ring announcement, maybe Cody Rhodes wins King of the Ring. I don't think he wins Money in the Bank. I think LA Knight's going to win Money in the Bank because it's better suited to go on a heel who can cut the promos, who can carry the briefcase better. But somehow, some way, we're likely going to get Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes again after this match. And I think in that scenario, you're likely going to have Cody Rhodes do what Dolph Ziggler did a couple years ago against The Miz when they fought for the IC title, is you're going to have Cody Rhodes put his career on the line. So I think Reigns gets to 1,000 days. I think Cody will be the guy to beat him. I think he's the guy right now. He's very over. He sells the most merchandise. They're ready to go with him as the top baby face in the company. And I think they would also like to hit that rough 3-year mark. So Reigns will come just short of 3 years with his title reign. But I think they'll acknowledge it as like a 3-year title reign, hit over 1,000 days. So I think Roman Reigns at plus 325, even though he's the long favorite, not only is he great value, but I'm agreeing with all three of you guys. I think he's going to win the match.
Yeah, I hate the idea of career on the line match because you know who's going to win then. So we'll see.
Well,
We all agree here. Roman Reigns is already announced.
Sometimes the most predictable thing is not the worst thing in the world.
Roman Reigns already announced for Puerto Rico. He's already announced for Crown Jewel. He's already announced for SummerSlam. So when he loses the title, he's not going to wrestle 3 times in 4 months after that. He's going to be off for a year. So he's going to win the match.
I think we're going to get Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton at Backlash. I think we're going to get Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins in Saudi Arabia. I think Money in the Bank, they'll have enough on the card to kind of let Roman take a little bit of an extended few-week break there heading into SummerSlam. And then, like I said, they set up Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam for the title.
All right, we'll see. You guys got the reign ending at SummerSlam. I think it goes all the way until WrestleMania. I wouldn't rule out another Brock Lesnar match. Those are always, in case of emergency, we got Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I think they
Not
got to do
again.
Omos versus Roman Reigns as well.
The almost
So
sapiens would
Omos
be
can lose
happy.
again. So Omos can lose
Omos is
again.
going to win. He's gonna end the ring.
For all the Homo sapiens.
Yeah.
Omos will be like,
Homo
they'll
sapiens.
just beat him down. The Usos solo. I another we're saying where could they go with this? We haven't seen Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns for the title, so
Right.
they
Right.
can do that as well.
Yep.
There's some things they can do here.
Sure, absolutely.
You're probably looking at, like Joe said, Backlash, Crown Jewel, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, whatever the other Saudi show is going to be. Then you're back at Royal Rumble and you do it all again. So we'll see what happens. It's all going to play out. We want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching this special edition of You Know I'm Right, covering WrestleMania. Hope you take our advice and go make some money. We know that the other 3 guys in here will be doing that for sure. So for our very special guests, Joe Foreman, Nick Bivona, and my co-host Joe Calabrese, I am Nick Durst. Enjoy WrestleMania, and this has been You Know I'm Right.